Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. Her vocal cords hum and rattle like steel guitar strings, and her breath whispers like sweet wind escaping a saxophone. Her lyrics pound in your chest to the beat of the kick drum, and her otherworldly voice speaks to you, lures you. You are lost. You stumble after the white rabbit object. You are spinning to the music, twisting and turning. You tumble down, down the rabbit hole. River Toussaint-Rabbitte is rock and roll and pure form. No mixer. She makes music that is the soundtrack for a revolt. Her love, we understand. Her music makes us young again. It makes us dance. River Toussaint-Rabbitte is the powerhouse frontwoman of White Rabbit Object, a self-described femme fatale. We're going to have to check in and find out about that. Femme fatale-fronted alternative blues rock garage soul band known for its raw energy and soulful storytelling. Outside of White Rabbit Object, River maintains her creativity with the release of her single, Born in a Bad Way, and her upcoming single, Put Down for Love. We're going to play Put Down for Love at the end of this interview with River in its entirety, so don't go anywhere. You want to hear this new single. Rolling Stone praised River for her late night decadence and velvet tones. Welcome, River.
Thank you so much. I think that might be the single greatest introduction that I've had ever. So thank you. I'm
I'm really going to
honored
have
to
to
be
pay
here.
you.
That was great. That was great. I was like feeling myself just the way you were talking about me.
Well, I got a kind of a fun question to start off. Playing on the theme down the rabbit hole and the white rabbit object theme. Who's the Mad Hatter in your life?
Oh, definitely Frank. Not a question. Frank is the Mad Hatter. He's eh, we
Describe
we've
him.
we've established this. He's one part madman, one part genius, one part absolutely brilliant, and he really brings that energy to our group and to our. I mean, we're married, so he brings that to our lives as well. And I just there is never a dull moment in our creative lives and our personal lives, and that is a toast to him being the Mad Hatter for sure.
Well, that might be the one of the best, sounds like one of the best things in your life to have someone like that in your life that brings that creativity, the art, the music, the lust for life. Describe him a little bit for me, if you would.
Yeah,
Why is he the
I
Mad Hatter? I mean, you did a little bit there, but go into it a little bit more if you could.
he is so many different things, and I think that's really like the madness in it, is that he's got all these tricks up his hat. He's very unassuming sometimes, and sometimes he'll write something, a lyric or a melody or a beat that just you're like, what what happened there? Where did that come from? And so I love that, as an artist and as a lover, he keeps me on my toes and keeps me guessing and wanting to continue stumbling down that rabbit hole. And as you know, we're a band of mystery, so I'll leave you with that.
Well, speaking of that, you set that up perfectly. My next question was, what's the backstory? Because I know that you're a band of mystery. So for instance, your
Yeah.
website, which is brilliant, I had to really dig into another great tribute to your creativity that the two of you, I think, are responsible for this. The name White Rabbit Object and the way that you spell it makes me curious. And I had to check with you to make sure I was saying it correctly.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I liked that. Your name uh, is a little bit of a mystery, right? And on your website, I was drawn in because you don't use bio or about us or music or what most websites for musicians, tour dates, merchandise. Instead, you've got names like covert, safe house, surveillance, eyes only, dead drops, bona fide. And I had to go, I'm like, okay, I think this one might be the about page. This one might be the music, but I was wrong every time. Um, so what's the backstory of the White Rabbit Object? What's the story you're trying to tell there?
Oh
If you
man,
if
I'm
you
so glad
can.
you asked. So glad you asked. White Rabbit Object, the sort of coming to fruition of this group was really sort of my fault. Um, so Frank and I had this hard and fast rule that as a married couple, we were never going to play music together. We didn't want to ruin our marriage because you've seen it happen
Yeah.
plenty of times in pop culture. And we both had our own things. He was playing in a tried and true garage rock band. I was playing, neo soul and jazz. And one day I come home and he's playing this bass riff, and I'm like, I shout from across the room, I'm like, you're playing that wrong. Like it's not right. And he looks
Uh-oh,
at
cross
me.
the line.
I did. I
You
was the
broke the
line
rule.
crosser. 100%. I was the rule breaker. And he just looked like deadpan, looks at me. He's like, well, first of all, I wrote it, so it can't be wrong because I made it up. But secondly, how would you do it? And he hands me the bass and I show him, I'm like, this is how I would do it. And he's like, all right, that's admittedly better. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I'm always right. And just kidding. No, but then I asked him, I was like, do you have lyrics for this? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, why don't I just take a shot? Like, let me take a shot at singing something that, you've put together. And 2 weeks later, it ended up on 101 KQX, which is a pretty popular alternative rock station here in Chicago. And we had always thought that we were kind of just gonna like work together to put out a single every now and again, and we're like this secret covert thing. But then we put out Jolene's Reply, which is a song that our audience will get to hear a little bit later. Um, and the next thing we know, Greg Cott and Sound Opinions is writing about. Now we never sent it to them. We never, and all of a sudden Sound Opinions is writing about us, and we're like, well, maybe we have something
Yeah.
that needs a band behind it. Maybe it can't just be, Frank and myself sitting in our little studio closet, producing, and each of us playing all the instruments on the tracks, and that's really how the band White Rabbit Object formed. It was sort of a people are paying attention, and we don't know to what length they're going to pay attention, but we might as well put some effort into this and give them a little more, and that's how we came to be.
So in a way, you're lying to yourselves that you're covert, that
A
you're
hundred percent.
that you're
A hundred
not
percent. It's
playing
all a facade.
together, that you haven't broken that rule that you said in the beginning. So in a
Yeah.
way, okay, I get it. That's a good
It's a it's
that's a good
a White Rabbit
backstory.
Object is a facade, Jeremiah.
Okay. And you're not really playing together because that would be breaking your rule. I
No.
get it. Wink, wink.
Wink wink, nudge nudge.
Okay, so did you mention the name of that first song that you jumped in on and then Took French
No,
bass guitar. What's the title of that?
that's funny. We actually just so we had an original version of it, which I believe is somewhere out there in the ether. But we actually just recorded it live in the studio over the summer, and it's called Unlucky 13. So you guys
Okay.
can check that out on our Spotify and
Yeah.
hear the rule breaking as it came to be.
I wanted to talk a little bit. We don't have to define your lyrics, but in a general term, I wanted to talk about your lyrics because they're so
Right.
great. I mentioned, I think to you off air, for me, I see, like they're cinematic for me. I see the story play out as I'm listening. I'm also getting, what, like when you watch a really good movie or a scene and the music matches it perfectly. That's kind of how I would describe how your music affects me, as I listen to it. It also feels like you feel everything. And, they say, I just learned this word the other day, but I saw it in something. And when someone feels everything intensely and is highly attuned to the emotions and the energies of others around them, they're described as an empath. Would you consider yourself an empath? Do you feel everything? Does it
I
all
fight it. I
channel?
fight it so hard. I would definitely describe myself as an empath, and I I think that I walk around life as trying to have other people perceive me as a very rational person, um, and someone that doesn't lead with the emotion of like how the world affects them or how they
Mhm.
affect the world, because we're in this really weird moment in society where I think that everybody sort of believes that the world revolves around them and their truth is the loudest in the room. But if I'm talking candidly, I mean, I can't deny that I'm a very empathetic person, and um, you know, a lot of the song lyrics and the cinematography that you feel when you're listening to us is, I think that we've sort of recognized that there are characters taking place in these songs, and we wanted to give voices to these different characters that could be you, could be me, could be sort of this collective experience of sort of going through life, and I don't take that lightly. And I like to put as much as I can into that, so that when other people do listen to our music, they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel connected to something that's really bigger than all of us, and that's that power of music being both healing and a great connector. And so I feel fortunate that I get to be sort of the scribe for those feelings and those connective moments that
Mhm.
we get to have, both as musicians, as fans of music. I don't think that they're mutually exclusive in this case.
Well, and I truly take me at my word, 100%. You have a take on love that is the real one. Love is always portrayed, and sometimes it feels like that when you first fall in love, but portrayed as this beautiful, the sky is more blue and the sun shines brighter and everything is roses and all that. That's kind of the
Sure.
fantasy love, right? Your lyrics, I think, define love and situations of love and the most honest way and the true way that love plays out.
Thank you.
Complicated. Love is obviously complicated, as you will listen. The listeners now, right, listening in on this conversation, they're going to see that for themselves if they already haven't
Totally.
heard your songs. Um, and love seems to be a theme through a lot of your songs. Is love especially complicated for you?
I think that gosh, that's a really brilliant question. I don't think that love is complicated for me because I think that when you are honest with yourself about love having these complexities and love
Hmm.
having, love not being a sort of straight line. We talk about healing not being like a linear path. I don't think love is a linear path either. And so love isn't complicated for me because I've sort of embraced all of the complexities that come with it. And, I think that if you're lucky enough to get to experience the highs and the lows and the frustration and the passion, I think that that just really means that you're so connected to either yourself or somebody else that you're willing to let all of those things in and see it all as part of the being in love with, the person, the place, the thing, whatever it may be. So yeah, I don't think love is complicated if you acknowledge that it is.
Yeah. And one of the brilliant things that attracts me to your music, the music that you two make, your band makes, and you make as a solo artist as well, it's that those lyrics is it's one part. There are lyrics that are really the most honest that I've heard, or I really relate to. I relate to the fluffy love songs as well, and those make you
Sure.
feel good. But I feel like you went deeper, and you got the nuances, and you've got I think you said the complexities that love has, especially as you go further into a relationship or a relationship that didn't work out. But the other thing that I think is brilliant about the music is the music and the instruments that you
Thank
choose,
you.
the melodies, the harmonies, the structure of the song, instrument with the instrument. So it made me think, what is River? How does love sound to you? I mean, I think it's there in a lot of your songs because it drives maybe passion, it drives anger. But if you could describe what love
Yeah.
sounds like, what would that sound like to you?
Oh
Are
man.
there instruments that you choose? Are there?
Yeah, and I think that again, there are complexities here, and you brought up such a really interesting point about like, connecting with this, but also connecting with the fluffy stuff too. And I think it's so interesting how like love in music gets portrayed as like this black and white thing of like it's either I'm so deeply in it or I'm so deeply out of it.
Yeah,
And there's not, and I think that we sort of like look at love as like um this transaction that's happening with somebody else. And I mean, obviously love can happen between two people, but I also think that love is this really um fleeting thing that we sometimes feel for ourselves, and a lot of the times we don't, or it's a connection to a feeling. And so I instrumentally, as a solo artist, I think that for me, horns really help me portray this sort of complexity of love, in the sense of like you can create this really wonderful dissonance that happens and sort of like traces that gray area of love. And other times you get these really beautiful harmonies that are like that feel really good and are like, oh my god, like finally we've arrived at this part.
yeah,
um I think that's why I've always been drawn to like instruments that are primarily used in jazz music. A lot of times in jazz, when you think that, you're going to go back to the head or the song's going to turn around, it doesn't. And it leaves you with this sort of like nervous feeling in your
yeah,
chest.
yeah.
And I love that feeling. I love that sort of not knowing what's going to happen next. And, I think that Frank and I have done a good job of keeping that spirit alive in our music, but also keeping that spirit alive in our relationship. Never getting too comfortable with one another. We're comfortable, but we are never too comfortable with each other, because that's what keeps that complex,
Hmm.
fighting for passion and for desire, alive. At least for me, That's what keeps alive.
I
So
like that idea. So your relationship, if you described it as sort of like jazz.
it's absolutely it's chaotic, it's messy, it's nerve-wracking, but it is the most wonderful sound in the entire world.
And you leave room for to improvise. Improvise.
Improvisation,
Thank
yes.
you. I can't get the word out.
Improvisation and smoke breaks. You got to.
I love it. I love it. So also what I love, okay, so there's love, right? There's these, what you kind of expect, but as you said, you can't. It's going to probably go in a different direction and leave us wanting more, or leave us as a listener following you, and taking that trip with you. What's anger sound like? Because there's anger in this as well, and it's driving. It's kind of how what
Um,
I described in the beginning. It's there's it defines the musical instruments define some anger sometimes.
sure, sure. I think that um sometimes passion can be mistaken for anger, or anger can be mistaken for passion. And I think that, at least for me and in my solo stuff, like it's very important for me to sort of blur those lines, because I think that a lot of times, like, we sort of get pigeonholed into like, oh, like, you know, you're a female identifying person, you're being erratic, you're getting angry for no reason.
Mhm.
And sometimes anger is an act of passion. It's really sort of like, I don't know what else to do but to scream or to be angry right now. And so I think sort of those guitars and those really like screeching sort of tones that are coming out of our amps versus like the smoothness and the roughness too of my voice, is really sort of playing on that idea of like, well, what is it? Do you actually know what it is? Is it anger or is it passion? And so um I I think that as a person and as a band, we don't really subscribe to a genre. We sort of just lead with uh, the intention and the emotion of the song. And I think that, it can be taken so many different ways. And I hope that people see it in different lights and that it means different things to different people.
Mhm. The best songs, only the best songs do that for you. Okay,
100%.
we're gonna take a real quick break. Coming up after the break, we explore the idea: can you really ever escape the rabbit hole? River Toussaint-Rabbitte, white rabbit object. She's my special guest on the show today. We're gonna play some music right now. Born in a Bad Way. This is a River Tucson. This is a solo single, right?
It is. And this is this song, I wrote it one weekend, and then the next weekend I flew to New York on a whim and recorded it with a friend of mine, and that's really what started the entire solo project. And this song is really sort of the telltale heart of my entire existence, and sort of blending that uh sort of tumultuous thing that is being alive with the sort of beauty and the artistry of that same sentiment of being alive and being here. And I hope you guys love this song. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever recorded. To the people that do the James Bond movies, if you're gonna make another one, this should be your next Bond song. Or Quentin Tarantino, if you're listening, cinematic people, give it a listen.
I know the Broccoli's, but they just sold it, James Bond.
Oh no.
But we'll see if we have a connection there somewhere else. We'll get it over to them. All right. So we're going to play that in just 1 second. But before we do, um, the big takeover says of white rabbit object. It's a testament to the band's knack for crafting rock songs that are as memorable and inviting as any pop tune. White Rabbit Object is the kind of band you dream of discovering in an intimate venue like the Empty Bottle or the Cutting Room, where the barrier between audience and performer dissolves into a shared, electrifying experience. Romeo, Bravo, Bravo, Tango is a testament to their ability to rekindle the dangerous allure of rock in an era that sorely needs it. All right, so pre-order White Rabbit Object's first vinyl record. You can go to their website to do so. And that website is white. I'm going to have to spell it for you. White Rabbit Object. It's spelled wht.rbbt.obj.com. Okay, you get their first vinyl. You can check out tour dates. You can explore that really unique and beautiful website that I mentioned earlier. So River Toussaint is a solo artist. She's also the lead female singer in White Rabbit. You can get to her social media handles by going to Instagram and put in RIV_RBBT. On Spotify, follow her like I did today. Where has she been in all my life? River Toussaint. I'm going to spell her last name as well for you. Toussaint. And also, while you're on Spotify, go to White Rabbit Object Band. I'll spell that for you. You didn't know you were going to get a spelling lesson today, did you? wht.rbbt.obj. On Instagram, same handle, and on Facebook to make it easy for you, the same handle. So go do that while we'll take this break. Turn up your headphones or your speakers, whatever you're listening to this show on, because Born in a Bad Way by River Toussaint is up now. We'll be right back.